New York City, right now as we speak, has the worst air quality in the whole world. As much as I love Dwayne Wade, as much as I love Gabrielle Union, to be honest, I wish they both would just take care of their family, take care of their business, and shut the f*** up.
What's going on, everybody? How are you doing this evening? I'm Lee Black, and I'm just popping in tonight after a long, hard day's work. And of course, I do apologize again for my normal viewers that I wasn't able to go live and do the normal show. If you don't know, Real Talk for Real Men airs on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And on Wednesdays, I do the show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I had to work. So, tonight, duty calls. But I wanted to just kind of pop in because I got inspired by the innovator, the creator himself, Mr. Lamb Liberty. He is doing a fascinating storytelling right now on TFG's His and Hers Relationship Perspectives. I believe that's where he's posting it. He's sharing it with the family, the TFG family, where he is truly showing his brilliance in his writing and crafting a beautiful saga. It's almost R. Kelly-esque. You think about R. Kelly, he did those different storytellings, and his is on that level. And I got inspired because just reading some of the creative work from Brother Lamb, it just reminds me of, stoking those fires for, great storytelling. And I got to realize how many stories are in this noodle. And so I was talking to my homeboy, my partner, over the weekend, and we were just talking about just life and death and things like that. And one of the things I truly realized is that life is not promised to nobody. And what would be the worst thing that would happen for me personally? One of the worst things I would say is if I had some type of debilitating illness where I could not elocute and articulate what was here, because this for me is everything. I could lose limbs, but as long as I'm able to articulate and be able to communicate, I think for me, I can still have some quality of life. So I wanted to do a story time and share with you guys. And again, I've gotten inspired by Mr. Brother Lamb. So I wanted to talk to you guys about one of my stories. There's a lot of stories in this Steel Trap, Trust and Believe. And for the most part, they're going to go to the grave with me. I've done a lot of shit. But some things are worth talking about because I think there's humor and lessons to be taught. So, I'm going to share one of my stories and take from it what you will. Now, the intro to this show actually pretty much summed it up. The views that I'm about to share, they come from Lee Black and Lee Black alone. And I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell it in my own way. And this is authentically coming from me. As I was showering, I was listening to my music, like normal. And the song Don't Want to Be a Player came on. And it just took me back to a place where I said, you know what? I've got to share this story. I think for men, they might appreciate this all of the time, this story, because whether we admit it or not, we've all had these situations where we've been in situations where we didn't act quickly enough to be able to get the job done. Now, this is not a story about a bad dick report. Thank God that I've had, my reputation is solid there, but I have had some mishaps. And this is one of those times where I want to share with the family. So this was during a time, let's just start here. We're going to call a young lady Chrissy. So the story I'm about to tell, I'm going to say right off the bat, every single thing I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. Only the names have been changed so to protect the innocent, because I do realize that some of these women are married in relationships. Maybe they've become churchified or whatever the case might be. And maybe they don't want anybody to know, some of the things they used to do. So it's not my place to, fuck up a happy home. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to change the names just to make sure that, I tell a story. My brother Kenny, what's going on, partner? Appreciate you for popping in. So this is a story about a boy and a girl, and about a boy that didn't act quick enough, and that boy is me. So let's talk about a time when this was during the time in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was a god. I wasn't the God, but I was a God in the sense that, God, I had so much pussy back then. So we're talking about 60 pounds lighter. I was young. I was out there getting it, and I had swag. It wasn't like these cats today. I literally had swag, And so this was a time in Memphis where I was at the height of my shit, doing my thing. So pussy, that wasn't a problem. I was extremely popular, king of clubs even. Now, for those people who live in Memphis, you might remember D&D, Denim and Diamond, if you don't know. Club located off Mount Moriah. And back then, it was one of the hot spots in Memphis. And they had two really hot nights in Denim and Diamond, Wednesday nights and Saturday nights. Now, on Saturday nights, this was the type of place where the bros went. You really didn't have to go in the club, honestly, Denim and Diamonds back then on Saturday and Sunday, because the parking lot was where the action was at. Cars galore. This was a huge place, you got to understand. And the parking lot was ridiculous. And I mean, you could do all the rapping, hanging, kicking it you ever want to without ever even going in the club. But if you went in the club, it was a huge place. It really was a white club that on the weekends, they had a black crowd. But now on Wednesday nights, it was a little bit more mixed. That's when white people would come and party with black people. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is before the TikTok era. This was before the time when white people thought they can dance. This is when they realized, in fact, they didn't have any fucking rhythm, and they came out to party with the bros and the sisters because they wanted to mingle, and, we wasn't at that place then. But the cool thing about it was, if you went in there and you wanted to drag you off of Snow Bunny, this was the place to be, And so I would go on Wednesday nights, quite naturally, because, that was the time, sometime I would, feel like, wintertime, dragging me a white chick off or whatever. But also, it was the middle of the week, so you get a different quality of woman that would be in there on Wednesday. These was bitches that had jobs, they had to go to bed, so they were going to get to it. So, strategically, it was a great time to pick them up there. So anyway, I would go there on a regular basis. Let's get to the meat of the story. I had a really, really good friend, a sexy friend of mine in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, let's call her Seal, to change the name. So Scylla, let's say it that way. And she introduced me to one of her homegirls in Memphis, because she would come up to visit. And Scylla was bad herself. Yellow bone, nice body, but I ain't going to talk about her. It's not about her. Her friend, we're going to call her Sissy. We're going to say Sissy. Sissy was the exact same as Scylla, except Sissy was a dark-skinned. Scylla was a yellow bone, attractive face, nice body. But Sissy was the exact same thing, but super dark, beautiful black skin, big old pumping titties. I mean, a small tapered waist, nice curves, and a strong pumping ass. Now, back then, my taste pretty much was a lot thinner young women. I was skinny. I liked them skinny girls back then, because I could twist them and do that kind of thing. But when I looked at Sissy, she had everything you wanted. But at the same time, I knew that if I was going to fuck with Sissy, you better bring your work pal, because she was going to be a job. I'm trying to tell you what's going on, Miss Demi. Good to see you. And so, yeah. Anyway, me and Sissy hit it off immediately. We became fast friends. We all went to Denim and Diamonds, and right after that, us three kicking together. Me and Sissy started kicking it together on a regular basis. She had a small son. I would go over to her apartment. She had an apartment right across the street from Denim and Diamonds. So a lot of times I would go and hang out at Sissy's place, a couple hours before we would actually go across the street. Sometimes when you wouldn't drive, we'll walk across the street and kick it and party and then do our little thing. Then it got to a point where Sissy would come out to my place. I lived in Fraser, which was a good little drive, but she would come out and hang out with me sometimes before we would go to the club. And at that time, the song that was burning up the charts was I Don't Want to Be a Player. I don't want to be a player no more. That was her shit. She would come over and she would have me play this song over and over and over. And sure enough, I would play that song for sure. And she just loved it. And I would sit back and we would be drinking and partying in my den. And I watched her wag that ass with no retribution, I promise. Having said that, make no mistake, I was attracted to Sissy, but It's hard to explain why I really never made my move. I mean, she would dance suggestively. We would be, and she was a shit talker too. And I think that kind of was for me what gave me pause, because the closer we became as friends, the more apprehensive I was in terms of striking on that pussy. Because number one, the pipeline was full with pussy, so that wasn't a problem. But the closer me and Sissy became, the more I started questioning, well, if I fuck, what is this going to do to the friendship? Is she going to be cool and getting and falling into the pipeline, or is she going to want more? And I really value her friendship because we were cool as fuck. She would hang out, we would drink. She could drink like a dude, talk shit like a dude. She was sexy. When we'd go and ride places, she had a better car than me. Back then, all the women I fucked with had better cars than me. I had fucked up vehicles. And so I would be apprehensive. And she really, I could tell, she wanted me to knock that pussy off, but I just would never make a move. Anyway, this shit went on for like over a month, maybe 2 months. Anyway, one particular weekend, she decided to go out of town with me to Pine Bluff. That's in Arkansas. So we go to Pine Bluff, and the ride there is about a 2.5, 3 hour ride. And we get to having this conversation about why me and her never fucked. So the deal was, okay, tonight was going to be the night. We get there and we link up with my nephew. Now, this wasn't my nephew. One of my nephews was my flat out road dog. We did everything together. We ride together. We die together. It's the shit we did together. We ain't gonna tell nobody. I ain't gonna do that. But this was an off nephew. Had a good relationship with him, but he wasn't my normal hangout partner. But somehow me, him, and Sissy was hanging out that night. Everything was magnificent. We went to the club. Now, mind you, Pine Bluff didn't have the same club scene as Memphis, but back then, shit was popping too. And I was king of clubs, and the fact that I brought this chick from out of town, it was just another feather in the cap. They had to respect the game because I was that dude. Anyway, me, Sissy, my nephew, we kicking it, and she talking shit. We get back to his place, his apartment, and we saying all the right things. And the conversation led to whether we was going to have a threesome or not. Partners, people, she was talking cash shit about she didn't think we two could handle her. Now, I wasn't really a talker. I drank and laughed and just egged the conversation on. But my boy, my nephew, he chatted it up. So I go to the bathroom to drain the lizard. I'm in there. Couldn't be no more than 5-6 minutes. I come out, they not in the living room. Now, mind you, this is, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm rubbing my hands together now. Okay, shit is about to go down, I go to the bedroom, go open the door. The motherfucking door locked. The fuck? Knock, knock, knock. Hey, dog. Hey, what's up? This is him now. Hold on. Knock, knock. What's up? No, hold on. We gonna be on a little bit. Fuck that. Knock, 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 knock. What's going on? Let me in this motherfucker. At this point, I feel like I'm the big bad wolf about to blow this motherfucking house down and bamming on the door. This motherfucker steady in there telling me to hold on, wait. Now I got a decision maker at this point. I could knock and break the motherfucking door down, but man code dictates you let it ride. You don't interrupt the man when he's getting the pussy. And as I'm listening at the door, he clearly getting the pussy at this stage. So I'm pissed beyond festivity, but okay, I don't want to fuck up his flow. So I go back in the living room. Now, mind you, I'm losing in this motherfucker. I'm horny, I'm high, and this nigga done superseded me, is in this pussy, and I could hear him in this pussy, and I ain't even had the pussy. At this point, I don't know if I'm more mad with him or if I'm more mad with me. Let's just let it be what it be. I didn't get the pussy, folks. Not that night. That night, I ended up going to sleep. Angry. I probably slept with my motherfucking fist balled up. Here we are the next day. I want to cut this motherfucker's throat, but he's a nephew. He's family. So I got to let it ride. In fact, I can't even really say nothing to this motherfucker about it because it's going to make me seem petty. So I really got to let this shit ride in that moment. So me and her, we leave. The ride back to Memphis was awkward. But okay, we get back to Memphis, and a couple of weeks go by, and we don't happen to kick it those couple of weeks. And I think that's odd. I'm calling and she's busy, this and that. So now in my mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, she playing me to the left. Nephew done got that pussy in, and now I can't even get back in. I'm not gonna have another opportunity. My boy reminded me of something that's always been true with me. I've always been really lucky when it comes to women, pussy in general. For some reason, pussy has a way of boomeranging itself back to me. I've always been very lucky with pussy. So anyway, after a couple of weeks go by, I had chalked it up to, okay, it is what it is. So now I'm gonna play her to the left. That's how I feel. She reaches out, hit me up, and I was dry as all get out. What you been up to, blah, 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 nothing. Short answers, Oh, you coming out this weekend? I don't know. Shit, what you been doing? Shit, same old shit, I'm being that nigga, I'm being salty with the shit. So anyway, she was like, well, I'm going to stop by there, because you acting funny. I'm not acting funny, shit, I'm just chilling, I ain't doing nothing, Anyway, she came on by, folks. Now, this is about 3 weeks after the incident. She came by, and I was resigned to treat her like normal. Sure enough, she came in, we hugged, whatever, but I was dry and a little salty. We laughed and we talked, and eventually, 30, 40 minutes in, she asked to put on Don't Want to Be a Player. So I obliged. I put on Don't Want to Be a Player. What was different this time was normally where she'd be wagging that ass with reckless abandon, she was dancing a little bit more sensual. And I'm sitting back in my recliner chair with my feet up, and I'm just watching this. I'm drinking my drink and shit, and I'm just watching on everything. And the best thing that could possibly have happened then. She didn't wait on me to make a move, folks. The song is on repeat. The lighting is dim, as always. Fellas out there, don't make them. If you got a woman over, you should have this motherfucking light on like that. The light should be dim. The music should be soft. The temperature should be right. I was a master. All that was right. But I got my feet up on reclining. Folks, she came. She unreclined my seat. Sissy Sissy went to work. It was a beautiful thing to see a woman with long fingernails handle a dick with such care and such love and pay so much attention to it. She sucked dick so well, folks, and she stopped several times and just admired. Hell, I looked at it myself. Now, this was before my belly. I can't look over my belly now and see my dick, but back then I could look straight down and see everything. I had a flat stomach, not a six pack, but I was muscular. But I can't do that now. But I'm literally looking like, wow, she's really admiring this dick. And it was the first time that I even realized, you know what? I have a beautiful dick. Anyway, I'm watching her do her thing, and it was just magnificent. Just the care, the time she took. She actually spoiled me in that moment. From that point on, that's when I realized if you're going to suck my dick, it has to be super, slow, crazy, soft, and sloppy wet, because that I don't want it no other way, She introduced me to that in that moment. It was just a thing of beauty to just watch her take her time. Now, of course, I was young and virile, strong back, stamina like a motherfucker. We were drinking. Let me tell you, folks, I proceeded over the next few hours to make sure that pussy didn't owe me nothing. I can sit here and tell you right now, that pussy don't owe me nothing. Wherever it's at, sissy, wherever you at, sweetheart, if you watching this, I got to tell you, every time I hit a song, Don't Want to Be a Player, I smile. And there's a memory trapped inside this noggin that will never go away because we fucked. Folks, we fucked so well, I erased the memory of nephew. He couldn't got that pussy no more if he paid for it. I beat that pussy. And that pussy didn't owe me nothing over them next few hours because I did everything to that pussy that needed to be done to it. And she floated away from there knowing that I was the man. Now, how do we end this story? I got the pussy a few more times and we still real good friends to this day. In fact, later down the line, I introduced another nephew to that pussy. Yes, I did. Because I had it like that. But what's the moral of this story, folks? I got to tell you, even the best of us, who are great at what we do, sometimes we're not on our game. But if you're lucky, like I've always been lucky, all you got to do is wait, folks. Wait, take your time, and this is about being prepared. And I'm so grateful to tell you that in my lifetime, I've always been prepared. But even when I've had those occasions where I've faltered, because you know what, sometimes everything don't go right on that first go round, and you might have to be second man in that pussy. But if you're second man in that pussy, I want to tell the fellas out there, make sure that it don't owe you nothing when you get it, because it's your right to make sure you tame that pussy, and you make sure you stand up in it with 2 feet, and make sure she understand that what was passed over wasn't on you. And that's what I did. And to this day, I have great memories of Sissy. Every time I play that song, Don't Want to Be a Player No More, I don't even want to be a player no more. But what I definitely appreciate about that is the great memories that I was able to get off that song. And it wasn't the first time that this happened, but it wasn't the last time this happened, but it was the first time that ever happened to me. It wasn't the last time, but it was the first time where I hesitated for some reason. And I learned some things about myself too, looking back on that. When a woman becomes more of a friend to me, there's a level of apprehension I discovered about myself that doesn't allow that thing inside of me to knock them pussies out, because my brain is built for beating pussies with no retribution and no emotion. I'm like a serial killer. I don't have to like the woman. I don't have to like her personally, how she looked. I put numbers up. But when I become friends with a woman, something strange happens inside where I have apprehension now. Now, I've been able to get past that on most occasions, but it's still a blockage that I'm working on, folks. But it's a beautiful thing to say, though, that to this day, on August the 2nd, 2023, my record is intact. I still don't have no bad dick reports out there. And even if it's the second time, I made it count. So, Sissy, I love you. I love you. I thank you. This has been another story with Lee Black. And everybody have a great night, because as I sip my wine, I'm going to play Don't Want to Be a Player No More. And I'm going to bask in the memories of that sweet chocolate back pussy that just will take me to my deathbed. I absolutely loved it. Have a good night, folks. Sissy, I love you.